Good morning. Our hand today is going to be pocket kings. In the same way, under the gun limps, and I raise. And then it folds back around to him and he calls. So I'm going to start with my ISO raising range. You could say it's an ISO raising range. It's an early position raise. Kings are good automatic raise, but just show you some of the other hands that we have. We've got suited Broadway and so forth. Villain's playing 44-16. I've got 25 hands on him now. I've probably played with him before because I do have more notes on him. We've got his early position stats, 60% VPIP here. He's played 3 to 5. That's probably an anomaly that he's just had some decent hands to play. He's got, I think when we look at mid positions, 3 out of 8. Cutoffs 1 out of 4. I think these are the numbers that are a little bit better. So I think they're somewhat elevated, but there is a trend that he does limp. He's got a limp first in stat. It's 1 out of 9, but you can see the difference between limping and raising. So the question is, what's he going to limp with? I think it's easier to say, what does he raise with? I'm going to assume he raises with at least 9s plus, ace 10 plus, some of these Broadways, some of these offsuits. And then the question then becomes, what kind of hands is he just going to limp with? And I think I don't normally see a lot of limping with like the offsuit hands. Normally the limping is with your suited hands, so hands like suited aces, maybe these suited connectors, suited one gappers, and if we say that we think he's just had, with the small sample size, that he's had some decent cards early on, then I think we could probably just go with a range like this. So if that's his range, that's my range. We take it to a flop of 9-8-3. So I do think that kind of hits villain a bit. 9-8-3. There's 2 hearts out there. We have an overpair. We have the king of hearts. So having the heart makes it less likely villain has a heart. But really the only heart we're looking at is that king 10 of hearts. He could have a 9. He could have an 8. He could have a 10. And so forth. Villain checks here, and I think that's going to be pretty standard for him. And then it comes down to us. What do we bet? I think this is a bet we're going to get called. I think 9s are going to call. I think an 8's going to call us. I think maybe open ender's going to call us. Flush draw is going to call us. I think we can get called a bit, so we're going to have some value bets here. Probably top pair plus as a value bet. We're going to throw in our bottom pair, pocket pair less than second card. Our pocket pairs like that, kind of as a bluff. Our flush can be included as bluffs. Our open enders, gut shots get counted as bluffs. I think we would also throw in probably some of these overcards. I think if we include all the overcards, it's going to be way too much. So I think what we're looking for is the overcards that have the heart in them. For at least the ace king, ace queen. It's ace king, ace queen if they have a heart. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe we just all bet 100% here. Or close to 100%. Unfortunately, we don't know what villain's playing, how he plays. So I did bet. I bet less than half. I'm starting not to like the smaller sizing. That could change, but kind of wish I bet at least 6, 7. We've got a good hand. He's going to call with a 9. He's going to call with the 8. He's going to call with a heart draw. let's charge him. Let's build a bigger pot. We're in position. Let's get the money in there now so that if we win it, we win more. So I'm going to say he's got like top pair. He's got middle pair that he's calling. He probably also calls pocket pair less than the second card. He's gonna realize that we don't. Sport it really isn't gonna call us. So I'm just gonna say he's probably just any pair is what he might call with. Now he calls once and then probably doesn't call again, and that's partly why instead of going small and then small again to win that, if we go larger, we're gonna get that pot. We're gonna get more higher EV with that type of play, because I think he's gonna call at least half pot, probably 2/3, maybe with 2/3. He'll think about not calling as much, but he might think about not calling with some of these, and maybe that would argue a half pot, but I still think a lot of players would call half pot and 2/3 about the same frequency. So I bet he calls. Turns a 10. That's not my favorite card. And villain checks. And the reason it's not is because I do think he's got 9-10 in his range. He might have 10 jack that's now hit top pair, which I think is favorable to us because now it gives him more of a reason to call. And also call on the river. I think that's probably the most important part. It gives him a reason to call on the river. So he checks to us. What should we do? I think we can probably go ahead and I guess if we bet, what is he gonna call? He calls all of those. He's gonna call your open-ender flushes. So we're at like 60%. He's folding 40%. We could probably bet again, half pot to 2/3 again. Probably get him to fold a lot of those. We have value in our range, so we've got top pair plus as value, over pair as value. We've got flushes, open enders for our bluffs. I think we start giving up on some of these overcards and some of these gut shots. I think we can keep some of our gut shots as like checks. We have some of the weak pairs as checks, no made hands as checks, check behinds. I think we're getting value. Yeah, because we also have two pair now. We've hit two pair. With a diamond, we could also get diamond draws. So I bet this time I'm closer to half pot. I think that's a more sensible bet. Villain raises us. So we're going to bet that. And then question is, what does he check raise us? And I think at this point we're behind. I don't think we get check raises from any of these draws. I think we're getting check raised by basically two pair sets. And probably straight. I think they're all scared of the flush. I think they're all scared of the flush. I think that's what we're looking at. We look at our hand now. Once that check raise comes, I don't think we could call with anything unless we call thinking we could bluff. If a heart comes. But we'd have to execute that. And if you look at it, if we call here, the pot, we're calling up to 33. We're only going to have like 30 left. The pot's going to be, so your pot's already 66. If I call, it's going to be closer to 88, almost 90. So we've got like a 1/3 pot bet. I don't think that's going to be enough. So I think this is just going to be a fold. It sucks to fold kings, but I think this is going to be the proper fold. I think this is the proper fold here. We're getting 25% equity. I think with our flush draws, I think they will have to be with our flush draws, I think we're looking at some of these combos. So we're looking at like Jack Queen, King Jack, King Queen, Ace Jack, Ace Queen. I think we're looking at those as like our continuance range here. Could we 4-bet? I think if we 4-bet, we're going to fold out our 2-pair, maybe the sets as well, and where I think we're only getting called by the straight. So I kind of feel like if we're going to be drawing those, I don't think we really want to 4-bet. I think we want to wait and just put it in with the straights, with our straights and sets later on, get called by, well, probably just the straights. Or if we improve. Well, I didn't do that. I called. I think that's horrible. Horrible call. I think this is an easy fold here. 3 hearts comes in. Well, I guess it wasn't. That was a 2 hearts. 3 hearts comes in. Once the 3 hearts comes in, villain checks. This is our opportunity now to represent the heart. I didn't do that. I didn't pull the trigger. So I made the mistake by calling. That was number 1. And then I kind of had it set up to where I could represent that heart. I do have the king. And I didn't pull the trigger. So I said on the turn that I don't think we have enough to try to represent that, and I agree with it. But I think at the time I was calling thinking, well, man, if a heart comes or if a diamond comes, I might be able to represent that. I mean, what's the reason? Why would I call a check raise? I'm either going for the straight or I'm going for the flush, and that's going to put him in a tough situation. So I think I screwed this hand up. I lost it. I kind of deserved to lose. So now let's go ahead and check what GTO suggests. Solver's been run. So we do expect villain to check 100%. And we're betting. We're betting 70%. I think that's basically your GTO strategy. You're betting most of the time here, c-betting. King is one where we're not. We're checking along with some of the aces. So we're checking some of our overpairs here on this board that I do think will be getting called. So we're just really playing it. We're not c-betting 100%. That's, I mean, I kind of knew that's not, I mean, GTO rarely says 100%. I mean, sometimes it does, but on this point, I know you're going to mix them in, and oftentimes it's going to be hard to mix in these checks. It's going to be hard to balance. So we do bet. Bet 5.25. Did I really bet? 5.5 is 11. So I bet close. I guess that is close to half pot. I guess half pot's okay. Maybe we need to go more. So we did half pot. Villain should be calling. He did call. So we did have the 2 on there. And then the turn was the 10 of diamonds. All right, villain checks again. Now GTO has his betting. Okay, so that's appropriate. And I bet about the amount so that we were expecting, so half pot. Villain raised us now. So the hands that he's supposed to raise would be like these bottom straights, 2-pair, or bottom pair. He's really representing, if he's playing GTO, he should be raising those hands and not necessarily these hands, because when he raises, I should be folding the kings and the aces like I should, and that was a big mistake. So that wasn't too good. I made the mistake on this. Let's say I did call. We had the 3 of hearts. Villain checks. I'm betting all of these. These are all flushes that I'm calling with. I've got some bets on like ace high hands, like ace king, ace jack, king queen, king jack, the diamonds. like like I'm using the diamonds as the bluff, so that kind of that makes sense. I wonder though what happens if we, let's do this. Let's import tree. We're gonna change this. Let's rebuild the tree. We're going to say our default bet size is 67%. 67%. We don't want him to dunk. Okay, we're going to build our new tree. We're going to edit it, import the tree. All right, he checks, and we have 66. We are going to add an action, and we're going to bet 50%. And just as a check, we're going to add another smaller size. We're going to go 33%. Accept. Accept changes. Confirm. We're going to run solver, and we'll be back. All right, solver's done. Check 100%, that's for sure. And then I was curious about bet sizing. So, yeah, GTO doesn't mind all of these bet sizings. I think let's do this, percentages. We're looking at set, 2 pair, over pair. Aces prefer the smaller sizing. Okay. Kings with the king of heart. I think that's the important one. So let's just do this. So we go smaller sizing. If we have the ace of hearts, that makes sense. It makes it less likely the villain's going to have ace x hearts in his range, but that's going to be different with the king. With the king, if we have the king of hearts, it favors the larger sizing, not so much the 1/3. Queen's going to be even more so because we don't block like the king x hearts if he happens to have them in his range. I mean, he only has the one, at least in the range that I built. Ace king of hearts. I mean, it's fairly evenly distributed for the smaller sizing. Is there one that really dominates here? Yeah, aces. It's pretty evenly split for the most part. Queen jack is different. That's interesting. I guess queen jack, diamonds, backdoor flush draw, gut shot. Oh, jacks as well. Yeah, the non-ace flush draws kind of go for the smaller sizes. That's not too bad. But I bet no matter which one I choose, if I bet and get raised, we're folding those over pairs. So, yeah, no matter how you look at it, I made the mistake on this hand. I called. Called on the turn. Simple as that. And I'm sure, as I said, I'm sure I called thinking if a heart or a diamond comes, I could bluff. I didn't pull the trigger. So I went in with a plan. I didn't execute it, which means I failed. That was a bad decision. All right, hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another one.